like I said, this detour of military, homeschooling, living overseas, it was like I had to make that choice. Am I going to stay here and finish out this license, or am I going to choose my family? And I chose family. I chose to go overseas, and this was with much prayer and much leading of the Holy Spirit, um, where we can choose our calling, we can choose the thing that we think is going to get us ahead, because oftentimes we don't think that those sacrifices will get us ahead. But I did, I sacrificed that career to go overseas, be with my family. And I did that because God told me to do it. Right. And so that was that detour where I felt like all was lost. And I even remember my mom taking me to, this was before the military, before all of that, where we were trying to like regroup. And my mother, I already fussed her out for not letting me go to cosmetology school. And now I have this degree that I'm not going to use. And she wanted to try to like even make up for that, right? So she took me to Paul Mitchell School so we can go tour it. And again, this is pre the military, pre all of that. But we were going to go, and we went and we looked at all the paperwork, all the financials and everything, and it just didn't work. I didn't have the money to go. And um, yeah, it was another moment of like sadness, like this, I'm just not going to get to do this, you know? And I heard you, Beth, when you were saying like your children, they're not allowed to say, I can't. And that was a moment like, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to do this. Won't work out for me. This is not going to work out for me. And I remember that being a theme in my life quite often with things that I would just have that desire. Like, I want to try this or I want to do that's not going to work out for you. That's not going to work out for you. You're not going to be able to do that. And this is partly why the fact that I have gotten to do the work that I've done in the beauty industry is so attached to like my faith and my relationship with God, like working on reality TV, working with senators and governors, and being able to do makeup in all these wonderful, beautiful spaces is because I didn't think it was ever going to work out. That wasn't part of the plan. Now, the way I imagined it was that I had to go to cosmetology school. You know, I had to work my way through a salon. I had to assist other makeup artists and figure out, you know, get on set and do all that stuff that way. There was a path to get to the thing that I desired. But God was like, no, you're going to do it. You're going to do it a different way. You want, Beth, you got something?
Yeah, yeah. Surrender to God. Sometimes our ways are not his ways. God can blink and it's done. And we apply all of this energy of trying to make something happen. And the opportunity is, God said, if you surrender your stale system, which is foundational for shift, and allow me to lead and guide, because I know the end in the beginning. And so, because I know the end in the beginning, yours is to relinquish what you think you know, because he has a better way. But I want to even back it all the way up. For some reason, our custom live streaming left us and I had to reconnect us and all of that. But I heard you say something about sacrifice. You made a decision that was in the best interest of your family. What you do in the way of obedience, what I do in the way of obedience, I had to reschedule something I was really looking forward to um, um, in June, but my month is packed. And realistically, with what I've got going on with my home, I I knew that I had committed to this individual. I reached out to him and said, you know what, can we take this to the fall? And the reception was, and I didn't hear for like 24 hours. And I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. and I apologized. I said, followed up my text to her and said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about this. I'm really sorry because I said, I don't know how this is impacting her plans and all of this time we spent in planning. I mean, the thing is laid out and ready to go, almost close to waiting on June to come and the date. But what we have to recognize when we obey God, obedience is what he requires of us. Outcome belongs totally to him once
Mhm.
we've obeyed. And when we trust him with the outcome, it came back after I did my follow up. Not that she was ignoring me, not that she was ghosting me, not that she was upset with me, is, oh my, this is the same thing I've been receiving and battling back and forth, is to push it out. See, God's plans and his ways are not ours. I toyed with that for a little while. I could have immediately relinquished that God, I heard you. I'm going to obey you. And that settles it and follow through and trust that when we are obedient to him, he has our best interest at heart, but not only ours, those that we are connected with, that we're communicating with, he's got them covered as well. So I love that the sacrifice. We think we're giving up so much sometimes. You
Mhm.
too, but
Yes.
we're really not. We're gaining more because what we do, we allow to ourselves to connect with God on a different level. Obeying Him brings you to a closer intimacy with Him. It
Mhm.
really does. Because what you're saying is not that we're saying, in regard to someone else or their feelings, what we're saying is, God, I trust you.
Mhm.
I know it is not fitting timing for me, but I trust you in
Mhm.
all of the surroundings, everything, every aspect. Thank you. I just wanted to say,
Yeah. No, so good, so good. Because those decisions that I was talking about, I had to make, they were like back to back to back, right? This idea of moving overseas, homeschooling the children, you know, giving up that licensure, educate, all that those pieces or whatever. It felt like it was moving me further away from like the desires and the plans and the things of that sort. So it can feel like that at times. Um, yeah, I remember that feeling like, oh, now I'm going to just being a mom and just a homeschooler. you know, but God was doing some beautiful stuff through that, right? It was a season, like you said, where he was inviting me into deeper intimacy with him, deeper relationship, deeper trust, that I could choose him, choose the greater thing over the thing that I wanted so badly, right? Like I want this career. Like when I tell y'all, I always thought I was going to be a career girly. I'm like, go to college, be career, be a career. Motherhood, all that stuff can wait, but motherhood came early, family came early, marriage came early, supporting the mission in the military, all of that came early. And I honestly never had any I don't ever remember saying I wanted to be an entrepreneur. See, I wouldn't have been here with you guys in the business network. Like that just wasn't my thing. But with that, through trusting God, he began to remind me as we were in Korea. Now, mind y'all, I was 16 when I said I wanted to go into this field. Now I'm like 28 years old. Okay. Yeah, 28. And um, wow, he just started allowing me to dream again. But it was what that word I said, reimagined. Like, yes, the cosmetology didn't work out. Okay, the licensure for the sure fit career didn't work out. But what if you started your own business? And it was just like, I don't even know how that works. How could I do that? that can't work for me, right? Like, I don't know how that's going to work. But I had to sit, it's like dreaming with God, reimagining with Him, right? When the plan isn't working, when it all looks like it's lost, when my plans were interrupted, you know? um it requires trusting him. And I think that all of us as Christian business owners, we look at our businesses as a way of serving God, right? Like, this is what he's called us to. He called us here. Many of us probably didn't choose it. It was like, no, I told you to do that. So I feel like that is where I was when I was overseas, and I just started kind of researching. God introduced me to a story of a woman who was a lawyer. She went to law school, put up all the hard work, became a lawyer, and then she started her own makeup business. I was like, what? Okay, this is interesting. Let me keep reading her story. So he just started introducing me to people and stories and all of that to shift, to allow me to reimagine how this could work. So I'm like, okay, she started a makeup business, but I can't do that, God. How am I supposed to do that? I didn't go to cosmetology school. How can I do that? And he brought before my face. Now, and mind you, I'm in South Korea. How is this going to work? Okay. So he put in front of me an online 5-week apprenticeship with a celebrity makeup artist who was going to training me online, and we were corresponding back and forth internationally. Like, I can't come up with that. You know what I'm saying? And it was just really beautiful to see that, okay, I got this 5-week certification when I was trying to do this long drawn out cosmetology school, and just learning that the salon wasn't where he wanted me. He wanted me on film sets. He wanted me on, photography sets, that type of thing. So it was just beautiful to see, like, I didn't have to go the traditional route that someone may think you have to go in order to get there, because it was his plan all along, right? So these scriptures, trust in the Lord with all your heart, those are things that we can actually do. My story shows that, right? My thoughts are not your thoughts. His thoughts are higher than ours. His thoughts were higher than mine, because I didn't know. I didn't know that you didn't need a cosmetology degree to be on set, right? I didn't know that, but God did. And that's where he was guiding me toward, like, you can raise your family, you can put your children in a better environment educationally, and you can serve in that old childhood calling that you desire that you had. I didn't know that I could have that all, but he did, right? So it's just so beautiful to see when we sometimes make that hard decision, or let's even when we choose to truly live by our values, because sometimes our values, we say we value something, but then our actions have to match that. And then it gets a little, dicey, because you're like, no, but I want this other thing too. But it's like, no, what is your value? What is it that you truly value? And I did. I valued family. I valued my children. And God showed me that I could have all of that. I wasn't truly sacrificing anything when I made that decision to go to South Korea. I made that decision to homeschool my children. And there's some more stories. There's some more stories, but I see you, Beth. You got something? Oh, there you
The
go.
foolish things to confound the wise. He does. He gives the foolish things to confound the wise. Um and I used to just go around saying, and you just brought that back up within me, I'm a foolish thing, because it's amazing to me. And I want to, if I may, Justina, challenge everyone on the call. Thank you so much for being here with us. Julie's one of our co-hosts as well for Living Well Wednesday. Um, I want to, Julie and Jeanette, you too, and Renee are regulars, but I want to challenge, and even those that may be watching over on the Facebook side of the house. Um, I know I'm trying now even still to share it out, but the opportunity is this. Think about that. What are the things that we processed out? And I'm not speaking against having a plan and a strategy. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But that we figured we thought we had to have. this platform, or we had to have this speaker for it to be. And I mean, people may have even judged you on how you approached it. I remember GGG starting it up, and I remember I got so much unpleasant feedback, like you need some big name speakers, or you need this and you need that. I thought my speakers were pretty big name. They were people that I knew, but they were people that were powerful. They were Davis, you know? And so the rumor was out, Beth don't like big name speakers. She likes to just go with, and I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh, the things that, and then not just those things that were spoken on me, but also things that I created up here as targeting even myself, that, measuring myself by others' platforms, and even questioning again back to my ability, not what my capabilities were nothing when they were up against God's great ability. I came in way down here and he came in way up here. And so when what I'm hearing from you in this journey is just to reimagine, and I want us, and that's the piece that I'm asking of each of you, maybe to chime in a little bit here. Reimagine, share something that you thought with your imagination was to play out this way. But when you reimagined it with God, how he changed that. Can anybody relate to that? Oh, Julie, talk to us. Do you mind, Justina?
Uh,
I want to hear.
Oh no, not at all.
Okay.
so, you know, we were military as well. And then my husband, most of y'all know the story, but he was diagnosed with brain tumors, and we had to navigate that at a young age with young kids and whatnot. And on the other end of that, God laid it on my heart to go to massage school to learn how to do lymphatics. Well, then we learn in massage school, you can't do that. But I went kicking and screaming. I cannot do this. I cannot touch people. I cannot feel this. I don't want to be in the room with these 18-year-olds. I was in my 40s. I went kicking and screaming. God gave me an outlet that I didn't even know I needed. He laid it on my heart, the compassion that I didn't even know I had. So he taps into things, and you just have to say yes. And boy, what a ride when you say yes. And I'm still riding it. It's 20 years later, and I'm loving it, and it grows even bigger and bigger. And am I making millions of dollars? No, but am I changing lives for the better, so they can have quality of life? Absolutely. So I'll do it till my last breath, but
And is it
like Sam said,
fulfilling, Julie? Isn't it fulfilling
it
though?
is.
I love what Renee has said. Obedience is a master key in our lives to see and walk through the open doors. That's just wonderful. Jeanette, did you have anything that to share?
Of course, there's a couple things that come to mind of my career. I pushed towards college, and I really didn't have any business being in big lecture halls. I didn't know how to study. I was very confident that I could, I proofed out of my math class, I proofed out of the science class. So I went ahead and took that next level up. But I had no idea how to study. I had no idea how to live on my own. And on the other hand, I was also telling myself I couldn't think. And God came in and changed it and said, "This is where I want you to be." And so I was telling myself I couldn't be a physical therapist. Went to massage school and continuing education with physical therapists. So now I'm learning what physical therapists are doing out there. And I don't know, it's amazing. I'm in the place that I'm supposed to be. I'm so grateful to follow it. I didn't dream it up. I had to follow him. And I've tried all kinds of different atmospheres, and he always leads me back to running my own business. And I'm
Wow.
so grateful for it.
I tell you, and,
Yeah.
and as I listen to you, and even Julie shared that, and I'm throwing it back to you, Justine. It's amazing, Justine. I wanted to be a red. I went to Red Cross to volunteer when I was a young girl, still in high school, trying to decide, a senior, what was next. And I just knew I was going to be a nurse because I wanted to help people. I always had the opportunity to want to help people. So I thought, this is the way you help people. So I volunteered at the Red Cross, and I went in there. I was doing fine, making the packs to send overseas and such. They brought the blood in there one day. I about passed out. I was like, and to this day, I don't even want to see my own. I'm 67 years old. And when they go to prick my finger or draw blood from my, I'm turning the other way. I'm saying, I'm having AirPods in, I can't do it. But I just knew I was supposed to be a nurse. And I was like, what a joke. I mean, really. And I didn't know. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because biology should have been a hint that, I can't even, the, I don't know. But yeah, this is good. This is good because God speaks earlier on to tell you, I had compassion and love for other people, but it wasn't in the way that I imagined. So that's what I'm loving about this is we have to reimagine with God.
Yeah. And that natural gifting, I love you sharing that, like wanting to help people. And it's like sometimes we'll get clues and we'll get um little nods and nudges, but we don't always put the dots together the way that God would, right? And then when we see that, wait, that's not working, we can lose faith or we can get discouraged. But it's like, no, don't get discouraged because God can use those gifts and he can use them in a totally reimagined way, right? And then we don't, in a way that we don't even realize is the actual true fit. I love what you were talking about, Julie, with the massage school. You're like kicking and screaming, you're like, I don't want to do that, you know? And I think for me, for a lot of times, I thought the makeup certification was just lesser, right? Like the cosmetology girls, they got to go to like the real school, and I had the lesser thing, you know? And God showed me, I was doing some research where, people talk about the beauty business and how it takes 2, 3 years to like actually like profit in that business, And I was like, okay, God, you did some supernatural stuff because after a year, I was already working with top photographers. I can't orchestrate that. That is God doing that work. There was nothing I did to put myself in these relationships, to have these connections. I'm not in the industry. I don't know anybody, okay? I don't know no celebrities. I don't know none people, none of those people. But God connected me. He built those relationships and he created that pathway so that he could get the glory out of that story because I had already thrown it away. I had already thought this isn't going to happen for me. I'm not going to be able to do this. So I'm just so grateful that God can get the glory out of this story. I do think that something you said, Beth, too, we get at an early age, we get that inkling of our gifting. So this is why I say pay attention to the children, like encourage what God is doing in them, right? It may not necessarily be a business like you're running, but career is still important. We spend 40 plus hours a week in this area of career, business, profession, whatever it is. I strongly believe that God cares about this area of our lives because so much time is dedicated to it that he's like, no, I've designed you for the thing that you're going to be doing in the marketplace, whether that's business, career, whatever it is. He's specifically designed us. We are his masterpiece, and he's given us the tendencies for these gifts and all these different places. So we should pay attention to it. And I do know that there's a season where It was just like, go to college, get a, get a good paying job, and I don't think our God operates like that. He's not saying just get a good paying job. He's saying you're purposed for something. There are people's lives you're supposed to touch based off the industry that you're going to be in, right? And so I just take that really seriously. And you may be 30, 40 years old and like, wait, the past 20 years, I didn't hear from God. I just did what secular world told me to do, and it's okay. That's fine. God redeems everything, right? He still can get the glory out of that. But it may be the time for you to reimagine some things that you had abandoned, right? We can do that at any age. I know there are women at 60 years old. I have a client at 60 years old. She decided to become an author and an artist. She was supposed to do that since she was a young girl, and she didn't do it. She just had, she went and she did the regular 40 hours a week, head down, no creativity at all. But God allowed her and I's path to cross, and I was able to coach her so that she could step into that authorship, that creativity, that artistry that she was supposed to have from the time she was a young girl, right? But again, what is God doing when there's that detour? What is God doing when there's that delay? He's growing us, right? That capacity piece that you talked about, Beth. He's growing us in capacity. He's giving us a story. He's setting himself up to get the glory. Okay. And we are so happy to just give it all to him, So yeah.
One thing that you just said, and I love it. You said, I don't have slides behind the scene. I just want to have a conversation. And I know God ordained this for today. I know for me, and even to get our participants for the Julie's a co-host, but everyone involved in participating, because this is something that challenges people today. You cited the individual that you worked with that's in her 60 that just reimagined. Um, the event that I was talking about, I'll put it out here, was Reset, or is Reset, that we were going to do in June for women that not only in the 50s and 60s, but also that are in their 40s that have, or whatever age you find yourself, that you recognize that, I'm stuck, or either I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or even you can't clarify it to that extent. You just know that there's no movement and that it is time for a shift. Okay. And so we're going to do it in Huntsville, Alabama, and we pushed it out to October because so many women need to actually experience the reset. And Reimagine is going to be a big part of that. Is where am I now? You'll have isolated time with Holy Spirit to be able to allow him to speak it through. The barrier so often that keeps us stuck, it starts here in our mindset and how we interpret other people too. What is
Mm-hmm.
this one gonna think? What is that one's gonna think? A
Mm-hmm.
lot of what we do is comparisons.
Yes.
And then we look to see what are they doing over there? Oh, their event's not set up like this. Maybe I ought to consider setting mine. What you ought to do is what Justina's saying. Hear what God would have you to do. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you trust him, you no longer own outcome. We do it on our own strength. Outcome belongs to me. I learn, take it from Beth, take it from me. Learn how to relinquish to God because his plan is the better plan, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were talking about something you said made me remember part of the story I kind of glossed over when I did that certification program. It was like, that wasn't easy. People were judging. I had a master's degree, remember? They're like, what are you doing? Like, why are you going backwards? right? There was all the judgment, there was the comparison, there was me having to process how people perceived me. What are you doing? You know, you're volunteering at that little theater downtown, you know, like, aren't you supposed to be working in your career? Like, there were things, specific things God told me to do that, yes, in the long run, they paid off. But the time that I was doing it, I was being laughed at and ridiculed and made to think that I was going backwards in my life, right? And so, yeah,
That
we
happened
do
to
have
me.
to.
That happened to me.
Mhm.
And my parents actually were whispering, it's just a phase. It's just a phase. She'll get over this. She's just grieving. It's just a
Mhm.
phase. And it was like, nope, I don't think so.
Yeah, isn't that
Wow,
interesting?
isn't that funny? And I've had situations that have happened to me. I have to be delicate with this. And I'm just going to say, and people are like shocked. I don't know why they discounted me or disqualified me, but you know, but I'm teasing with those gestures, but it's just amazing because I want to say I'm as amazed as you are at what God can do when we surrender to Him. But yet, there comes a point when you've trusted Him over and over again. Not that you're not going to be challenged, hear me well, with, oh my God, I got to speak there. But, but you start to learn that as you continually decrease and allow God to continually increase, His love lifts you up where you belong.
Mhm.
It's just that simple. It's not of me. It's nothing to do with Justina Ford or Jeanette Lasky or Julie Mills Watson or Aisha or Renee Salvery. It's nothing to do with Beth Copeland. It just shows forth what Justina said earlier, how big our God is and how much we trust Him. I just love this conversation. Don't
Mhm.
you? Don't you love this conversation? So encouraging, Justina. Thank you for your transparency, putting it out there so that we can glean, do self-evaluation right here. All of your presentations are opportunities for us to find those things that trigger um, interruption into God's plan for our
Mhm.
lives, you know? So listen, I don't know how much more you have. Do you have more for us? Because I want say
Yeah,
for some.
no, I don't have too much more. Just I was really thinking about the theme this year for shift. And I know the
Uh-huh.
I was the ignite. And I was thinking like how does that relate to this talk here? You know, like we want to be ignited, we want to be on fire. And for those of us that feel like we need to have a plan, you know, to get that ignition, it's like, no, the ignition is moving when God speaks. The ignition is really trusting in Him and being able to take those steps forward because He told us to, right? Not because there's a plan, not because you've got it figured out, not because you can see it. Sometimes we get excited about what we can see, but sometimes God wants us to move before we can see it. So that's that ignition piece that I wanted to just connect back into this here, like taking those steps forward anyways. And it always takes me back. I always have this vision. I can't remember, one of my mentors told me this vision, like I forget the movie, but the guy is on the he's like in a cave and he's trying to figure out how do I get to the other side. We all know this movie. It's just leaving my brain. And he has to figure out how to get to the other side. And he's looking, and he doesn't know. And he takes a step, and then the little rock or pillar appears. So if he would have never taken that step, you know it, Julie. I saw her light up. um,
Isn't it like Indiana,
yes, Indiana
Indiana
Jones.
Jones?
It is
Yeah.
that
Uh-huh.
right there. It didn't come to my brain, but it's like he couldn't figure out how to get across. It's not until He takes that step, then the boulder appears. He takes another step, and the boulder appears. So that's what I think about that being ignited to say, I trust God so much that I'm willing to take a step forward, even when I can't see the plan. And
You
so,
know, that is so awesome. I can't, my husband was the Indiana Jones. I think I slept through most of those movies, even when I watched them with him, but it wasn't my thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But however, what came to mind is similarly Castaway. Now, you know, do you remember what's his name? One of my favorite actors. I can't think of his name now. Okay.
Tom
Tom
Hanks.
Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
y'all got
Tom
it.
Hanks. Tom. Julie, you're just a movie buff. But, you know, when he was isolated, you know, and I always watch a movie for learning, and I get so much. You know, my favorite Shawshank Redemption, but sticking with this, and I could have used that too. Okay. But anyway, but this one is what came to mind when you were talking is a hopeless situation. Sometimes I've felt that I've been in hopeless situations where I'm totally isolated from reconnecting for what I believe God would have me to be. His was to be reunited from being a castaway, you know, to get back to society, you know. And, but all to say, what are you thinking? What is your hope? What is your dream? What is God saying? One day, in the midst of where I am now, no vehicle, transportation, I should say, opportunity to get there. Will you allow God to reimagine how He's going to reconnect you with the society? Oh, He wants us to dream and continually submit. And and He'll send something that looks like it could be a raft. You know, if you can reimagine it and get outside of how you see it. No, it's not a cruise ship. No, it's not a plane landing to pick you up. You got something greater than that that's going to give you an even more powerful testimony of how you were rescued and reconnected. I just love this. You have blessed my heart so much today, more than you could even think. And it was such a timely blessing. Thank you,
Thank
thank you,
you.
thank you, thank you, everyone, for being here. Because I've got to say it. I usually say it at the end, but it's coming right now that God has a plan, y'all, and
Mhm.
we are
You're a
a
part
part
of it.
of it. We
Amen.
have got to, and maybe it's just Beth Copeland, trust God's plan to prevail, even in the midst of hopelessness. Oh my God, God's truth is the final say. I want to thank those of you for joining us on other platforms today as we streamed into LinkedIn, into YouTube, into Facebook Live, our GCBN group. We are so glad you're here. I want to invite you to visit our website, gcbnetwork.com. We are focused, determined, and intentional to put God back in business. We could use your help as a sponsor. Come sponsor this opportunity to be a part of something great. Listen, become a member. We need to just grow this network so that we can make greater impact. Sign up for an event. April 18th is our quarterly business networking event. Great opportunities to hear from James Cox and Phyllis Breach are going to talk about vision casting and goal setting. So join us. It's just released yesterday. Reserve it on your calendars, April 18th. Be in the house. For members, it's your part of your members benefit, only $20 to attend. Breakfast is included. Other things are being added as we confirm those. Opportunities, those come out for the value. For non-members, only $35. Come spend that Saturday morning with us to get refreshed. Another opportunity is God Golfing Girls. Listen, the early bird ends a couple of days, I believe. Sign up now so that you can save some dollars. Okay. And GCBN members, you know that you have a special opportunity to send a Zelle to save you some few more dollars to us. Okay. And we work with you. Also, I want to tell you next week, Jadana, yes, Barika Gill out of Belgium is taking the platform with me for Transformation Tuesday. So we want to close the month with her, and then we're going to turn it back around to the first Wednesday in April. Can you believe April comes in on that first Wednesday? April, fourth month of the year? Don't feel like you're running out of time though, because God can make up, He redeems the time. And Jessica, Julie, and I will be back to talk about living well. And I don't know her topic for next month, but we're going to be out there supporting you and undergirding your business. Thank you guys. Thank you, Justina. Give us words to grow on as we close the platform today. I'm so grateful for you all. What would you end us with? Words to grow on, Justina.
Oh, what would I end us with? Ooh. I would say continue trusting God, even when things look like they can't happen, it's not possible, when things look impossible, and trust the desires that He's placed in your heart. Yeah.
You know, I'm going to close piggybacking on that with my favorite life verse. It's Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Forgive the emotion, but trust in the Lord with all of thine heart. Lean not to your own understanding. In all, not some, not a few, in all of your ways, acknowledge Him, and
Mhm.
He will direct your path. Thank you so much. God bless each of you. I'm so grateful for my community. Bye bye now. Talk to you soon.